Howdy gang, back again with the chronology, picking up in the earliest days of mail order, 75 into 76. Got a pretty good stack of books here. I didn't show any books in the last chronology video, so I promised you all a double dose. When I think 1975 into 76, I think 25-cent cover price. I don't know where all these fall into all that, but I think they're all 25 centers. The 25 centers came into play, I think, around mid-74 and lasted all the way to mid-76. Maybe it was late 74. These things are a little bit fuzzy to me now, but I do definitely recall it was around the summer of 76 where they went from 20 cents to 25 cents to 30 cents. But anyway, I'm going to try, and I've got my notes here, and I'm going to try and talk and show these books at the same time. I used to do this thing where I played the guitar with one hand and played the piano with the other, so I'm sure I can, if I can do that, I can certainly talk and show books at the same time, yes? Anyway, 75 into 76, I was still ordering some back order catalogs, back order lists, and with one of those lists, I think it might have been Howard Rogofsky or perhaps Robert Bell, but I got my very first comic book bag. Again, up until that time, I had started using those 3-ring binder clear insert that my father would bring home for me, and I could put 4 or 5 books into one of those. But I got my first bag, and I remember when I got the bag, I put the first 2 mail order books I ever got into the same bag, with each of the covers facing out. The Submariner 29 and Submariner 30. I also remember doing a book report in school on origins of Marvel Comics and Son of Origins of Marvel Comics. And I remember my teacher being a little confused, maybe a little upset with me because I had chosen these particular books to do my report on. She didn't, excuse me, she didn't quite understand or didn't comprehend that, these were actual, nonfiction books with some comics thrown in. And I talked her through it, explained my rationale, my reasoning for doing my book report on these things, and she kind of came around. She definitely came around because she gave me an A on the thing, so that was pretty good. I also remember it was around this time that I got my first taste of comic book history in Steranko's History of Comics, Volume 1 and 2. My parents were nice enough to buy those for me. I saw them at a mall in, I believe, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Panther's Rage here, folks. Panther's Rage. But anyway, my folks bought those books for me, and that's when I really learned about pre-comics, the comics in the newspapers and all that. Pre-comic books, I should say. uh, and the earliest comic books themselves, about the influence of the pulps and that kind of, all kinds of tremendous stuff in those Steranko's History of Comics. I also remember making a conscious effort as a kid around this time to take on some chores that I could earn some extra money. My folks gave us like a weekly allowance of 50 cents or something like that. And then if we did some extra chores, we could get some extra money. But I actually, for the first time, kind of took it out of the house and started cutting grass to make money. Started working with my friend Larry's father. I've spoken about my friend Larry in past videos. And he would like to give Larry and I projects to make money during the weekends, on the weekends. Mr. Weibly was quite the craftsman, and Larry and I were getting to be of an age where he thought he could trust us, and we were old enough, responsible enough to handle workman-like tasks, and we did it very well, and he paid us very well. So I had more money in my pocket than I had ever known before, and which was great because I was really getting into the mail order at the time, and I needed every bit of money I could get. I kept up my ordering from Don's Book Vault, Spotsylvania, Virginia. And incidentally, anyone out there that might be viewing this video that might have some Don's Book Vault lists from the mid-70s, please let me know. I don't have my lists anymore. I actually threw all my lists and catalogs away back in probably the mid to late 80s. And boy, oh boy, do I ever regret doing that. Here's my off-the-rack Captain America 200. For what it's worth. But I liked Don's Book Vault list because they were illustrated. Illustrated, and what I mean is they were actually on 8.5 by 11 paper, and you had 2 columns going down each side, but down the middle there were, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 little inch or inch and a half high black and white cover illustrations, and I really, really like that. But I started to get to buy more expensive books from Don's Book Vault, and these were Neal Adams related issues. Sometime in early '76, I got my first look at Neal Adams' X-Men. Here, we'll just save those. And it was from a friend, kid in the neighborhood. He showed up at the house one day. He wasn't a collector, but for some reason he showed up at the house one day with a handful of comic books, and one of those books was X-Men number 56. The first Neal Adams X-Men, of course. And it just blew me away. And I knew I had to have the book. And I traded him something for it. I don't even know what it was. It wasn't a comic book or anything like that, but I gave him something. I don't know. It must have been some wacky packages or bubble gum or something. I don't know. And speaking of bubble gum, the bottom corner of the front cover of that X-Men 56 had a big glob of gum stuck to it down in the bottom right-hand corner. Well, I carefully peeled out. It was old and it was hard, but I carefully peeled that off. Anyway, I was determined then to get nice copies of these Neal Adams X-Men books, and they were featured on all the lists, you know, and they were always broken out a little bit with a little notation, Adams art. So I knew it was number 56 through, geez, what the heck is it now? 64, 65, 66, something like that. Anyway, they were $1.50 a piece, and that was just an insane amount of money. But the first two I ordered were 56 and 57. Got them back. They were beautiful books in every way. And that actually led me to purchase my first X-Men book off the rack that I bought at the giant supermarket. And that was X-Men number 98. I thought it was a cool cover. I was into the Sentinels. You know, I got that issue of number 57 and had the Sentinels in it. So I bought my first X-Men off the rack, the new X-Men off the rack, and it was number 98. I also really went crazy and bought the most expensive book I had ever bought up to that time. And it was around July, it was around the bicentennial celebration of 1976 when I got the thing in the mail. So I must have ordered it in June of 76, but I paid $3.25 for it. And it was Spider-Man number 31. You all know the classic red cover with the spider on it. Yeah. And it was a beautiful book. I remember actually standing out in the yard and opening the package and looking at the book and thinking, wow, this looks brand new. You know. So that was quite a thrill. I'm going to wrap this up here shortly. I know I must be running long. So I'm going to have to maybe save the second half of 1976 for another video. But one of the highlights of that will be just a little bit of my reminiscence about this guy. Yeah. It was two of number 2. Howard was just awesome, but I'll save Howard for the second half of this video. I also will talk about the first comic book that I ever paid double digits for, and my mother thought I was insane. I had paid $10 from this book, actually to the kid that I got the X-Men 56 from. But I'll reveal what that was, and also I will start talking about Wolfhead Comics and Tony Capilupo, the first comic book dealer I ever met, and I'm actually going to make an entire dedicated video about Tony and about Wolfhead Comics to encompass all of my years of experience with Tony. It's going to be a breakout dedicated video. So the next video I will finish up with 76, and probably the one after that will be the Tony Wolfhead Comics dedicated vid. So stick around. I'm really getting into what are perhaps my golden age of collecting, my favorite years of collecting, 76 through about 1982. So there's going to be plenty of details about all that coming up here real soon. Phew. Thanks for sticking around and letting me ramble through this extra long video. And I'll get back at y'all real soon. So, happy collecting. See y'all. Bye-bye.